This is Part 2, Episode 106. The majestic spiritual strength appeared just like an unending mighty wave as it swept through the sky. It carried an unusually frightening pressure that rushed toward the purple-robed, old man in a lightning-like manner. Space trembled wherever it passed. Threads of dark black lines quietly spread. Although the spiritual strength was without form or color, anyone who possessed strength would be able to sense the frightening pressure that permeated the sky. This kind of pressure originated from deep within one's soul, causing one to possess a fluttering feeling. At this moment, the many private conversations came to an abrupt stop. The expressions of some of the people who had scoffed at Xiao Yan's earlier arrogance stiffened. At a glance, they appeared exceptionally comical. After having advanced to the Dozone class, the current Xiao Yan had likely reached the 7th tier if one were to talk about his alchemist tier. Moreover, due to his spiritual strength being outstanding to begin with, it was likely that he would not be inferior to some true Tier 7 alchemists. Such a frightening strength would naturally release an unusually powerful pressure when it was unleashed. Forget about Xiao, who was only a Tier 6 alchemist. Even if he had reached the level of a Tier 7 alchemist, the outcome of his battle with Xiao Yan would be unpredictable. Elder Kai-Ho was stunned as he watched the majestic strength that swept across the sky. A moment later, he inhaled a deep breath of air. His eyes revealed a shaken expression as he looked at Xiao Yan a short distance away. A hoarse voice that carried some disbelief was slowly emitted from his mouth, a Tier 7 alchemist. Spiritual strength was a fundamental ability that all alchemists relied on to survive because only by possessing powerful spiritual strength would an alchemist be able to control a flame and successfully refine a medicinal pill. Hence, the might of spiritual strength was directly linked to an alchemist's skill level. Many people in the Central Plains identified the gap between two alchemists through this spiritual strength. This was why Elder Kai-Ho was able to reveal Xiao Yan's alchemist tier when he sensed his spiritual strength. Of course, a great storm rose within the heart of Elder Kai-Ho at this moment. He had never expected Xiao Yan not only be a Dozone, but also someone who possessed such deep attainments in terms of medicinal refinement skill. Tier 7. A Tier 7 alchemist. This status was of significant weight even in the Central Plains region. It should be known that an alchemist of such tier might not be at the peak within the Pill Tower, but was definitely considered a top existence. Moreover, the thing that really shocked Elder Kai-Ho was Xiao Yan's age. Even with his experience, it was the first time that he had seen such a young Tier 7 alchemist in all his life. Such talent in both Do-Chi and pill refinement could really be described as monstrous. That old fellow Xiao is going to be unlucky this time around. He dared to be so boastful. Brat, forget about trying to play some tricks in front of the old me. Xiao's eyes stared intently at Xiao Yan. He coldly cried out after the spiritual barrier was formed. Xiao Yan raised his eyes in the face of Xiao's cry. The corner of his mouth was lifted into a mocking smile. This Xiao was merely a Tier 6 alchemist, yet this person dared to show off his spiritual strength in front of him. It appeared as though this Xiao was seeking his own suffering. Xiao Yan gently flicked his finger and softly said, "Go." His word had just sounded when the majestic spiritual strength that swept through the sky instantly gathered. It formed a substance-like spiritual hammer in front of an innumerable number of shocked eyes. After which, it ruthlessly fell and smashed against the thick spiritual barrier. Bang! The two suddenly collided and a shocking ripple spread out. It immediately unrolled over the open ground like a wave of water. In an instant, a slight tremble appeared in the open ground. Numerous cracks formed. Crack! An invisible ripple suddenly spread from the point of contact between the heavy hammer and the spiritual barrier. Xiao's face also turned purple. He went all out to maneuver his spiritual strength before pouring it into the spiritual barrier. The spiritual barrier blasted apart. The expression of Xiao, who was connected to it, instantly turned white. Immediately, a mouthful of fresh blood was spat out. His body also flew back as though he had suffered a serious blow. He landed heavily on the ground and formed a scar that was nearly 100 meters long before he finally paused. The entire place was silent. Numerous eyes were dull as they looked at Xiao, who had fallen to the ground. No one knew whether he was dead or alive. For an instant, no one opened their mouths. One strike, a Tier 6 alchemist was defeated after only one exchange. Moreover, he was defeated quite miserably. The person who had managed to do this was merely a young man, only 20 years old or so. Silence continued for a moment before it was finally broken by the sound of someone inhaling a cold breath. Numerous eyes carried a fiery heat as they slid to the young man who had not even taken a step forward. At this moment, everyone could guess that this person's tier was likely even higher than Xiao's tier. Xiao was a tier 6 alchemist. Since Xiao Yan was of an even higher tier, the answer to his level seemed obvious. Tier 7. Only an alchemist of this tier would be able to turn a tier 6 alchemist into such a miserable state in a spiritual strength fight. This person is a tier 7 alchemist? The throats of countless number of people rolled. The expressions in their eyes had also become dull. Tier 7 alchemist, this was not an ordinary heavyweight. An alchemist of this tier would definitely be a top existence within the Burning Flame Valley or even the Pill Tower. Liu Qing might feel proud in his heart, but his expression did not change. He replied in a faint voice, "If he is not my friend, do you two elders think that someone else would intervene?" The two elders smiled in embarrassment when they heard this. However, they did not retort. If Liu Qing really possessed a tier 7 alchemist friend, it would undoubtedly bring a great joy to the Liu clan. This senior, may I know if there is an end result for this match? Xiao Yan waved his sleeves and the majestic spiritual strength that spread through the sky instantly disappeared. He looked to Elder Kaihui as inquired with a smile. Upon hearing Xiao Yan's words, Elder Kaihua's eyes hurriedly withdrew from Xingxiu in the distance, whose fate was unknown. A rare smile surfaced on his face as he nodded. "Young friend's strength is extraordinary. The victory naturally belongs to you. Cuckoo, the management rights for the Tianhuang city's wormhole for the next 3 years will belong to the Liu clan, Yang Xiao." Xiao Yang smiled and cupped his hands toward Elder Kaihui. Young friend Yang Xiao already possesses such an achievement at his age. This is really unbelievable. May I know which great person is young friend's teacher? Elder Kaihui laughed. Regardless of how outstanding Xiao Yang's talent was, it was unlikely for him to reach such a stage if there was no one to guide him. He is merely a mountain hermit and cannot be considered a great person. Xiao Yan laughed and pushed this question aside without making it obvious. Seeing that Xiao Yang did not wish to speak more about this topic, Elder Kaihui hurriedly shut his mouth. He might be an elder of the Burning Flame Valley, but he was just an expert dozone. He still maintained a courteous tone to a tier 7 alchemist. "Ha ha, Liu Qing. The wormhole of the Tianhuang city shall be managed by your Liu clan during the 3 years from today on. All you need to do is deliver the tribute to the Burning Flame Valley on time every year." Elder Kaihua's eyes slid to Liu Qing as he spoke with a friendly smile. The wormhole provided a healthy income. The Liu clan might be able to obtain the management rights, but they would have to pay a portion of it as tribute to the Burning Flame Valley. This had been the rule over the years. Liu Qing smiled and nodded. He was naturally aware that the reason Elder Kaihui was being this courteous to him was due to Xiao Yang. "May I know why the Burning Flame Valley is searching for high-tier alchemist?" Xiao Yang finally asked after momentarily thinking. "Cuckoo, my valley chief wants to refine a high-tier medicinal pill and requires the cooperation of some high-tier alchemists. Young friend Yang Xiao, please be reassured that this matter will not be difficult. The Burning Flame Valley will reward you greatly once you succeed." Elder Kaihui hurried said, "Refining a medicinal pill?" Xiao Yang narrowed his eyes. The strength of the valley chief of the Burning Flame Valley was likely not weaker than Feng Zunjia. A medicinal pill that he required was likely a tier 7-1. It was not easy to refine a medicinal pill of this tier. The valley chief of the Burning Flame Valley is also an alchemist. Xiao Yang suddenly thought of something and asked with some surprise. Most of the time, a pill refinement relied on one's own strength. How could the help of outsiders have any effect? Elder Kaihui looked at Xiao Yang with surprise when he heard this. The valley chief of the Burning Flame Valley is not an alchemist. Although he is extremely interested in alchemist, he is unable to become one due to him not meeting all the requirements. However, he is also a person with outstanding ability. With his ability to control flames, he is able to control a heavenly flame to refine some medicinal pills. However, the tier of these pills is not very high. If he wants to refine a high-tier medicinal pill, he will need other alchemists to aid him. Liu Qing by the side approached Xiao Yang and softly explained. "I heard that quite a number of alchemists have been invited to the Burning Flame Valley this time around. All of them possess some skills. If they can successfully help the valley chief of the Burning Flame Valley refine the medicinal pill, I'm sure that the reward will be extremely great. With the reputation of the Burning Flame Valley, they would not mistreat anyone." Liu Qing smiled as he gave his input. He had a good understanding of the Burning Flame Valley. Xiao Yang smiled. He was unconcerned about what kind of reward there was. It would be enough if he could obtain the completed version of the Skyfire 3 mysterious change. "Lin Yang, you should stay in Tianhuang City during this period of time. I will return once I am done. Additionally, Liu Qing, there is something that I need to trouble you with. Xiao Yang mused for a moment before speaking. You can tell me if there is anything. I will not even frown as long as I can do it. Liu Qing patted his chest and spoke in an unrestrained manner. Help me investigate any information related to a lady called the Little Fairy Doctor in the Middle Region during this period of time. Xiao Yang slowly said. Additionally, help me investigate a clan. There is a girl called Xin Lan in it. Xiao Yang did not know how the Little Fairy Doctor was doing after being apart for such a long time. Hence, Xiao Yang needed to obtain some news as soon as possible. The Liu clan had been in the Middle Region for a long time. It was likely that their ability to gather information was better than his. As for Xin Lan, Xiao Yang ultimately did not know just which clan she belonged to. Since he had made her a promise, Xiao Yang would naturally not hide on purpose. The Little Fairy Doctor? Liu Qing fondled his chin and nodded. He said, I have never heard of this name. However, I will send someone to the Pill region to investigate. As for that girl called Xin Lan, it will be a little difficult to investigate. From the way I see it, this should not be her surname. There are a countless number of various-sized clans in the Middle region. Attempting to find her clan is no different than finding a needle in a haystack. Her clan seems to have once entered the Pill Tower Elder's seat. However, their name should have been removed by now. Xiao Yang said, Oh? Liu Qing's expression changed a little when he heard this. The clans that could enter the Pill Tower's Elder's seats were no ordinary factions. Even if its name had been removed, its strength would definitely be something that their Liu clan would not be able to compare with. Now the scope of the search has been greatly reduced. All right, leave this matter to me. I will settle this matter by the time you return. Liu Qing mused for a moment before replying with a grin. Xiao Yang nodded. He would save himself the trouble of randomly roaming around like a headless housefly. Xiao Yang chatted with the other two after giving appropriate instructions. When the fiery red, enormous bird in the sky emitted a sharp cry, Xiao Yang finally cupped his hands to Liu Qing and Lin Yang. His toes pressed on the ground as his body leaped into the sky. Lin Yang hurriedly spoke when he saw Xiao Yang move, Be careful. The Burning Flame Valley was situated in the Roasting Fire Mountain Range in the southwestern part of the Middle Region. This mountain range was completely formed by hot volcanoes. At a glance, it was a monotonous crimson color. Some of the volcanoes' peaks emitted a dense white smoke that curled and rose. Occasionally, there would be some lava seeping out of them. The Roasting Fire Mountain Range possessed a great reputation across the entire central regions. Of course, part of the reason for this was because the Burning Flame Valley was located here. The other part of the reason was due to the harsh environment of this mountain range. Although the environment was not really pleasing to the eye, the endless volcanoes had resulted in the fire affinity energy in this place being unusually dense. Practicing fire affinity chi methods here would undoubtedly allow one to gain double the reward with half the effort. Hence, there were quite a number of fire affinity chi method practitioners who would take the risk and come to this place even though they were aware that it was very dangerous. The Roasting Fire Mountain Range was not far from Qianhuang City. The journey took less than half a day. Moreover, the flying speed of the enormous bird that Elder Kaihua used was quite fast. Hence, Xiao Yang could vaguely sense his surroundings gradually fill with natural energy after a short 4 hours. This kind of fullness was vaguely mixed with some violence. Xiao Yang's eyes looked into the distance as he stood on the back of the enormous bird. He could only see a fiery red line at the edge of his sight. This fiery red line was quite imposing, and one was unable to see the end with a glance. Cuckoo, young friend Yang Xiao. This is the Roasting Fire Mountain Range. The headquarters of the Burning Flame Valley is located within. Elder Kaihua smiled to Xiao Yang as he continued. The Roasting Fire Mountain Range is filled with fire affinity energy. However, due to the volcanoes erupting all year round, this energy contains some violence within it. If one wishes to absorb it, one would need to expel the violence within. Otherwise, one's mind would be affected after training for a long time. Xiao Yang smiled and nodded. Although Xiao Yang did not need to be afraid of this violent energy due to heavenly flames protecting him, this was mentioned with good intention by the other party. A moment later, their footsteps came to a stop at the end of the stone stairs. Only after walking to this point did Xiao Yang realize that there was a spatial wall here. Xiao Yang gently pressed his hand against the spatial wall and a shocking repulsive force surged out, ruthlessly repelling his hand away. What a firm spatial wall. Xiao Yang shook his hand. Shock flashed across his eyes as he spoke. Cuckoo, this spatial wall has been toughened by the valley chiefs of my Burning Flame Valley over the generations. It is able to block the attack of an elite dozone. An ordinary dozone will not be able to break it. Elder Kaihua laughed. A spatial wall that can block the attack of an elite dozone. Xiao Yan involuntarily clicked his tongue when he heard this. It was indeed worthy of being the Burning Flame Valley. Such a foundation was something that other ordinary factions could not compare with. Elder Kaihua laughed. He took out a fiery red jade token from his storage ring and placed it on the spatial wall. A strange ripple spread, and one could see the spatial wall automatically parting in a slow fashion. Young friend Yang Xiao, please. Elder Kaihua smiled to Xiao Yang. After which, he took the lead to step in. His body disappeared in a strange fashion after having stepped through the spatial wall. Xiao Yang hesitated for a moment. His footsteps moved and he slowly walked into the spatial crack. Following his entry into the spatial crack, the place in front of him suddenly brightened. He habitually shut his eyes before immediately opening them in a slow manner. The shock in his eyes immediately became dense. Young friend Yang Xiao, please follow me. Elder Kaihua smiled to Xiao Yang. After which, his body moved. His feet stepped onto empty air as he flew toward the deep regions of the valley. Behind him, Xiao Yang also stepped onto the air and followed close behind. All of the Burning Flame Valley's disciples revealed a shocked expression in their eyes when they saw this. That person is actually a dozone. Why is he so young? It should be some senior who purposefully turned himself into this manner. I heard that some medicinal pills possess a beautifying effect. This should be it. If this is his actual age, would he not be comparable to Miss Hua? That's right, just one abnormal person like Miss Hua is sufficient. It would be too much of a blow if there are more of them. Xiao Yang did not hear the private conversations between these people. He followed Elder Kaihua closely. They flew for a couple of minutes before gradually descending. Finally, they landed in front of a large, fiery red hall. There were many buildings in the middle of the valley. Quite a number of red-clothed Burning Flame Valley's disciples were shuffling around them. Occasionally, the sound of people sparring could be heard, allowing some liveliness to surge within this enormous valley. At this moment, there were quite a number of Burning Flame Valley's disciples guarding the fiery red, large hall. Their cautious eyes repeatedly swept all over the place. It seems that some other alchemist grandmasters have arrived, Elder Kaihua muttered as he looked at the tightly guarded, large hall. What does your valley chief want to refine? Is there a need for so many alchemists? Xiao Yang knit his brows and asked, Cuckoo, there is no need for so many. Instead, the intention is to find one or two suitable ones among these alchemists. Of course, even if one is not selected, the Burning Flame Valley will still prepare a big gift. Young friend Yang Xiao need not be worried. Elder Kaihua smiled as he explained, there is a need for selection. Xiao Yan followed behind Elder Kaihua and smoothly passed through the tight defenses outside of the large hall. After which, they gently pushed open the door of the hall. Creak. Following the opening of the hall's door, the exceptionally majestic and grand interior of the hall appeared in front of Xiao Yan's line of sight. Elder Kaihua hurriedly walked in after the door was opened. After which, he bowed to the leader's seat of the large hall and said, Valley Chief, Kaihua has come to report the completion of my mission. The alchemist grandmaster that Tianhuang City has recommended has arrived. At this moment, there were around 10 figures seated inside the large hall. Most of them were wearing alchemist robes. From their appearances, it was obvious that they were quite old. Their faces were indifferent. None of them felt constrained because this place was the headquarters of the Burning Flame Valley. There was a skinny, red-haired, old man in simple linen clothes seated in the leader's seat in the hall. The old man's face was filled with smiles. However, the hearts of everyone seated were clearly aware of this old man's great status within this middle region. A red-clothed lady was standing prettily by the side of the red-haired, old man. Her delicate and narrow waist was wrapped by a dark red, long belt that accentuated her waist so that it appeared even more alluring. The appearance of this lady was quite extraordinary. However, there was a heroic demeanor being emitted from her thin eyebrows. This, along with her fiery red outfit, gave her a valiant appearance, giving her an unusual charm. The eyes of everyone in the hall shot over when they heard the noise from the opening of the door that led into the hall, especially when Elder Kaihua mentioned the arrival of an alchemist grandmaster. Quite a number of people shot their eyes over with interest. Ha ha, Kaihua, you are the last to finish your task this time around, the red-haired, old man smiled at Elder Kaihua. After which, he asked, why aren't you inviting the grandmaster in? Are you trying to let others say that our Burning Flame Valley has bad hospitality? Elder Kaihua hurriedly nodded upon hearing the red-haired, old man's words. He turned his head, faced the exterior of the hall and said, "Young friend Yang Xiao, please enter." Yang Xiao, the 10-plus alchemist in the hall, who possessed some reputation within the middle region, frowned slightly when they heard the manner of address by Elder Kaihua. They had never heard of an alchemist grandmaster named Yang Xiao appearing in the middle region. While everyone was feeling doubtful, a skinny figure slowly walked into the hall. Xiao Yan's unusually young face was immediately imprinted into the eyes of everyone in the hall. After which, a temporary silence unsurprisingly filled the hall. Yang Xiao greets Valley Chief. The red-clothed lady beside Tang Jun was also using strange eyes to look at Xiao Yan. There was a hint of doubt within her eyes. Being the most outstanding person from the younger generation in the Burning Flame Valley, she clearly understood just how difficult it was to reach the Dozone class at such an age. Moreover, the thing that caused her to feel some disbelief was that Xiao Yan's age seemed to be even younger than her. Valley Chief Tang has overpraised me. It is just that my luck is a little more than an ordinary person. Xiao Yan's expression did not change, but his heart involuntarily felt some surprise. This person was indeed worthy of being the chief of the Burning Flame Valley. He was able to tell Xiao Yan's strength with just a glance. While this thought was lingering in Xiao Yan's heart, his gaze also swept over Tang Jun on the leader's seat without being obvious. He was a little shocked to discover that he was unable to probe the other person's aura. He is able to hide his aura so perfectly. The strength of this Tang Jun is likely much greater than even Lei Zunja from the Wind Lightning Pavilion. Being able to possess such luck is also considered an ability. However, what I need today is not a Dozone, but a true alchemist grandmaster. Elder Kaihua, have you really not brought the wrong person? An old man who was wearing an alchemist robe by the side glanced at Xiao Yan as he indifferently talked down. The red-clothed lady by the side curled her lips and coldly snorted. Her pretty eyes swept over Xiao Yan while her snow-white chin was lifted. There was a provocation within her eyes. She had never met an opponent among the same generation who was comparable to her in all these years. Xiao Yan's appearance had caused her, who possessed a competitive spirit, to feel a great interest. Xiao Yan merely smiled in the face of the provocation in the red-cloaked lady's eyes. He could sense that this lady did not have any ill intention. She was merely a little dissatisfied by Tang Jun's words earlier. "Young friend Yang Xiao, please find a seat." Tang Ying smiled and directed Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan nodded with a grin. After which, he was led to a seat in the large hall by Elder Kaihua beside him. That Grandmaster Mo from earlier is a Tier 6 alchemist. He is able to refine a medicinal pill at the peak of the Tier 6 level. If he is given a couple more years, it is likely that he will reach Tier 7. That person's mouth is a little nasty. Just act like you did not hear his words. Elder Kaihua softly explained to Xiao Yan after he had sat down. Xiao Yan lowered his chin without leaving a trace when he heard this. He could sense that the alchemists invited here were all renowned people with the exception being himself. However, with young friend Yang Xiao's skill, you need not pay any attention to this old fellow. All you need to do is pay attention to two people among those seated. They are the two people seated on the left and right of the Valley Chief. Xiao Yan's heart moved when he heard Elder Kaihua's words. He slid his eyes over. The expressions of the 10-plus alchemist grandmasters in the large hall changed slightly upon hearing this. A Tier 7 medicinal pill was considered quite high even for these people seated here. When Tang Ying spoke, the two external elders of the pill tower also slowly opened their shut eyes. They glanced at the former and said, "Tier 7 high-grade medicinal pill." A medicinal pill of this tier is something that even the both of us cannot refine. Although the two of them were Tier 7 alchemists, they were only able to refine some Tier 7 low-grade medicinal pills. Their chances of success when refining a middle-grade pill might be reduced by half. However, if it was a high-grade pill, their chances of success would be quite miserable. You can leave this matter to the old me. Although the old me is not an alchemist, there are some abilities of mine that all of you do not possess. Tang Jun smiled and said, "All I need are two alchemists who can resist my 9-dragon lightning flame." Upon saying this, Tang Jun gently clenched his hand. One could hear a puff sound as a silver-colored flame slowly rose from his hand. While the flame rose, one could vaguely see 9 silver-colored fire dragons twisting within the flame. This is the 9-dragon lightning flame. Xiao Yan's eyes slightly narrowed when he saw the cluster of silver-colored flames. "Everyone, please summon your spiritual strength. If you are able to endure the grilling of this 9-dragon lightning flame of mine, you will have reached the qualifying standard." Tang Jun smiled as he instructed. The faces of quite a number of alchemists in the large hall twitched when they heard this. The 9-dragon lightning flame was ranked 12th on the heavenly flame ranking. There was no one present who was unaware of the strength of this flame. Moreover, with Tang Zhen's unfathomable strength, an ordinary person's spiritual strength would likely be incinerated into nothingness upon contact with it. Although the spiritual strength of those here was not weak, they were unable to endure such a test. Tang Ying's words had caused the large hall to become a lot quieter after they were spoken. The alchemists who were filled with haughtiness earlier all recoiled their necks. None of them dared to say anything. The two external elders from the Pill Tower mused for a moment before slowly uttering, "Valley Chief Tang, all of us are aware of how powerful the nine-dragon lightning flame is. There is a dragon's might gathered in the heavenly flame. Hence, it possesses the miraculous effect of shocking one's soul. It is likely that there is hardly anyone present who is able to use one's spiritual strength to endure it." Tang Zhen smiled when he heard this. He said, "Grandmaster Huan, please rest assured that the old me knows my limits with regards to this. I will not allow anyone to be injured. As long as one is able to endure for 10 minutes within the nine-dragon lightning flame, one will be considered to have passed. After all, the person who is aiding me must possess the ability to withstand the nine-dragon lightning flame. Otherwise, he will only end up being injured." Tang Zhen's eyes swept over the large hall after saying this. He grinned and said, "Since I have already invited all of you grandmasters over, I will naturally not let anyone waste their trip here. Even if you are unable to endure this nine-dragon lightning flame, the burning flame valley will still give everyone a big gift." Everyone in the hall finally began to think objectively after hearing these words. They did not have any grudge with Tang Zhen. Moreover, with the other party's status, there was no need for him to play any games with them. The red-cloaked lady looked down at the hesitating alchemist grandmaster in the large hall beside Tang Zhen. The corner of her mouth was involuntarily curled. These fellows were all so afraid when they heard of the nine-dragon lightning flame. It was as though they were afraid of her father quietly murdering them. The red-cloaked lady's pretty eyes suddenly settled on a somewhat deserted spot in the large hall. Coincidentally, she saw a calm-faced Xiao Yan who was holding a teacup. She became slightly startled. This fellow did appear to be quite calm, but she wondered if this was merely an act. Since Valley Chief Tang has put it this way, it is only natural that we should not act cowardly. "All right, we will perform the test as Valley Chief has proposed. Which Grandmaster will try first?" Tang Zhen inquired with a smile. The large hall was quiet for a moment after these words were spoken. Immediately, a white-robed, old man stood up. He cupped his hands to Tang Zhen as he said, "Since no one wants to begin, allow the old me to give it a try. The old me has long heard of the nine-dragon lightning flame of the burning flame valley. This trip will not be considered a waste if I am able to test its might today. Cuckoo, it is Grandmaster Hua. Please." Tang Zhen smiled as he responded, "This elder is called Hua Chen. He is also an alchemist at the peak of the Tier 6 level. He possesses some reputation in the middle region." Elder Kai Hua by Xiao Yang's side seemed to be aware that Xiao Yang did not recognize any of these people. Hence, he softly introduced them to him. Xiao Yang nodded his thanks to Elder Kai Hua. After which, his eyes turned to the old man called Hua Chen. He was extremely curious about the might of this nine-dragon lightning flame. The old man named Hua Chen clenched his hand and a cluster of deep red flames rose from his hand. A spiritual strength swiftly surged from between his brows as well. After which, it entered the bushel of flames. The flames immediately began to wiggle, transforming into a palm-sized human figure made of fire. The fire-human figure was completely formed from spiritual strength. However, he had added a layer of fire protection outside of the spiritual strength. Groan! Hua Chen's spiritual strength was annihilated under the frightening temperature of the nine-dragon lightning flame the moment the deep red flame disappeared. His body trembled as his feet took a couple of steps back. His expression was slightly pale. It is indeed worthy of being a heavenly flame. The old me admits defeat. Hua Chen bitterly smiled and shook his head after stabilizing his body. He let out a sigh and returned to his seat with a bitter expression. The beast flame, which he was proud of, did not even possess the slightest ability to resist this nine-dragon lightning flame. Some of the alchemist grandmasters present involuntarily changed their expressions when they saw that Hua Chen was unable to even endure even a minute. Was this nine-dragon lightning flame so powerful? Another alchemist grandmaster failed once again. At this moment, the only ones in the large hall who had yet to make an attempt were the two external elders from the Pill Tower and Xiao Yan. Of course, Xiao Yan was naturally ignored by the others. Almost everyone's gazes were thrown to these two external elders. After all, only these two people were genuine Tier 7 alchemists within this large hall. 9 Dragon Lightning Flame. Dragon's might shakes one's soul. This test is really not an easy one. The external elder of the Pill Tower, called Grandmaster Huan, was the first to let out a soft sigh. He exchanged looks with his companion before slowly standing up. A white-colored flame rose from his palm. This flame was somewhat unusual because the flame was emitting a chilly air when it rose, sky-cold flame. This flame of Grandmaster Huan should have been obtained from the Skybone Python's body, right? It is rumored that this Skybone Python will only appear in the regions where the bone-chilling flame appears. This beast flame within its body is similar to the bone-chilling flame. Even Tang Zhen was startled when he saw this white-colored flame that was emitting cold air. Xiao Yan raised his brows when he heard this. He was somewhat surprised as he studied the sky-cold flame in Grandmaster Huan's hand. It was unexpected that this thing was sort of related to Teacher's bone-chilling flame. Congratulations, Grandmaster Huan, you have succeeded. Tang Zhen smiled and said. After which, his eyes slid to the other external elder from the Pill Tower. Grandmaster Xiao*, it is your turn. This Xiao* is not Xiao Yang. Xiao. The flame belonging to this Grandmaster Xiao* was not as powerful as that of his companion. From the way Xiao Yang saw it, it could only be considered an upper-middle level beast flame. It was likely that he would not be able to endure for 10 minutes by using this kind of beast flame to contend with the 9 Dragon Lightning Flame. It was just as Xiao Yang had expected. When the 7-minute mark passed, the blue-colored flame was unable to endure any longer, and it was torn into pieces by the 9 fire dragons that pounced forward together. Grandmaster Xiao could only sigh when he saw this. He shook his head at Tang Zhen before returning to his seat. This kind of test not only tested one's spiritual strength, but also tested whose flame was stronger. Disappointment flashed across Tang Zhen's eyes when he saw that Grandmaster Xiao* did not endure until the end. He sighed, I have troubled everyone. Currently, only Grandmaster Huan alone has passed the test. However, the old me needs 2 people. Isn't there still an alchemist, Grandmaster? The red-cloaked lady beside Tang Zhen crossed her hands over her chest. Her pretty eyes were looking at Xiao Yang with interest. She also wanted to know whether this young man, who was praised by Tang Zhen earlier, had some ability or if he was merely a country bumpkin. Since I have come to the Burning Flame Valley, I will naturally have to give this test a try. Xiao Yang slightly smiled in front of many eyes and slowly nodded. Some alchemist grandmasters in the hall involuntarily revealed ridicule on their faces when they heard this. Even they were unable to endure for long against the 9 Dragon Lightning Flame, much less such a young fellow. Since young friend Xiao Yang is interested, please give it a try. If you are able to pass, you and Grandmaster Huan will fill up the 2 spots. Tang Zhen raised his hand as he spoke. At the same time, he smiled, feeling a little surprised by Xiao Yang's boldness. Xiao Yang slowly stood up. He looked at the silver flame suspended in the air of the large hall. Immediately, he clenched his hand, and a cluster of jade-green flames curled up and rose on it. Xiao Yang's current control of the glazed lotus heart flame had reached the extent where he could manipulate it at will. Putting it bluntly, other than the most unfathomable Tang Zhen, if anyone seated here were to compete with him in terms of flame control, none of them would be able to compare with him. This included the 2 external elders of the Pill Tower. Tang Zhen on the leader's seat frowned without anyone noticing. His eyes stared firmly at the flame. He could vaguely sense that this jade-green flame was not that simple. Xiao Yan was unconcerned about the surrounding eyes. A thought passed through his mind as his spiritual strength entered the flame. The flame wiggled, transforming into a palm-sized exquisite jade-green fire lotus. The flame slowly rotated. It was completely jade-green in color, appearing just like top-quality jade. Its flawless manner was just like an artistic work that gave one the feeling of being unwilling to part with it. Xiao Yan flicked his finger gently, and the fire lotus slowly rotated as it approached the cluster of silver-colored flames in the air. After which, it quietly merged into it in front of everyone's anxious eyes. The 9 fire dragons immediately sensed something when the jade-green fire lotus entered the cluster of silver flames. They carried a deep dragon roar as they swiftly pounced over. A cold smile surfaced on the faces of the few alchemist grandmasters when they saw this scene. The ridicule in their eyes became even denser. That manner was as though they had foreseen the miserable situation that would occur a moment later. However, the scene they anticipated did not appear as they had imagined. The cold smiles had just climbed up their faces when they suddenly stiffened. Immediately, the eyes of everyone in the large hall protruded out. The 9 fire dragons carried a fierce momentum as they ruthlessly surrounded the fire lotus within the interior of the silver-colored flame. However, they instantly became sluggish. A moment later, everyone saw a scene that caused them to be stunned. The 9 fire dragons, which were still acting in a mighty and majestic manner, appeared to have seen a frightening thing at this moment. All of them fled in a lightning-like manner. After the 9 fire dragons fled far away, they once again slowly swam closer. However, they only dared to linger around the fire lotus. They wandered around continuously, but did not dare to pounce forward and bite the fire lotus like they had during previous occasions. This scene caused others to feel a disbelief and caused the entire large hall to descend into a strange silence. Those alchemist grandmasters who were waiting to watch a show displayed exceptionally comical expressions on their faces when they looked at the separate fire lotus and fire dragons within the flames. Tang Zhen's expression had also become a lot more solemn at this moment. There were not many flames in this world that could cause the 9-dragon lightning flame to be this afraid. Moreover, he was certain at this moment that the jade-green flame Xiao Yan had summoned was definitely a kind of heavenly flame. Valley Chief Tang, may I know if I have passed? Xiao Yan withdrew his flame, kept his gaze focused on Tang Zhen, and smiled as he asked with his hands cupped together, "Cuckoo, do you still need the old me to voice the result?" "Congratulations, young friend Yang Xiao. Including you, the old me has truly gathered 2 people." Tang Zhen's hand fondled his beard as he laughed out loud. His eyes immediately slid to Elder Kaihua as he said, "Kaihua, you have handled your task in a manner that is as satisfactory as it always is. You were able to find a young and outstanding person like young friend Yang Xiao." Elder Kaihua's face revealed a smile when he heard this. He respectfully said, "I was merely lucky. Being able to meet young friend Yang Xiao can be considered my luck." Some alchemist grandmasters' faces in the large hall became somewhat unnatural when they heard Tang Zhen's words. This was especially the case for Grandmaster Mo, who had ridiculed Xiao Yang earlier. His expression looked as though he had just swallowed a housefly. This scene was something that he had never expected. Moreover, he simply could not understand just how Xiao Yan came to possess a heavenly flame at such an age, is only relying on the help of the heavenly flame. There's nothing great about it. Grandmaster Mo's lips slightly twitched as he continued to stubbornly laugh in a cold manner. Xiao Yang really did not like this old fellow who spoke words that really caused others to despise him. After glancing at him, Xiao Yang shifted his eyes away and completely ignored him. Tang Zhen also grinned. With his eyesight, he was naturally able to tell that this young man called Yang Xiao definitely possessed some skill. His alchemist skill might well be at a level that hardly anyone here could compare with. Everyone, please rest assured. I will invite everyone to watch when the medicinal pill refinement is in progress. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.